Now, I want to talk about some of the statistics behind the show because they just shocked me. 62 crew members and 30 contestants.
Yeah.
How on earth did you find a place for all of these people to stay?
No. Now, interestingly, you asked that question because if we were doing the East Coast, it's easy. You know, it's warm water, lots of accommodation, resorts, hotels, etc. But go up the West Coast into Namibia and suddenly there's nowhere that can cope with that sort of numbers centrally.
Right.
So often we'd have contestants camping 30 k's away from us and we would be based somewhere else.
How did you keep track of everyone?
Well, there's a minder that stays with the contestants.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, no, and she has a hard task of making sure that, you know, they're fed,
like
looked after. There's always a medic on standby in case something happens. You know, it's funny, if you go camping on your own, it's a happy-go-lucky experience. But if you're responsible for the contestants, you've got to mind a medic, you've got to make sure they got food and all those type of things. Otherwise, you know, they ultimately they're ambassadors for the show.
Right.
So you've got to make sure that they're looked after. But not too much. You know, there mustn't be sissies about the experience. It was actually, you know,
this is
toughen
Africa.
up. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, Africa's not for sissies.
Right.
You know? And so that was some of the times we had to do that. Other times we were lucky enough in Namibia. You know, I'm trying to think what episodes on air now. No, can't tell you about those.
Don't tell me about that.
Where are we? We're not even in Namibia yet. We go to Namibia, by the way.
What a surprise.
But when we go into Namibia, we're lucky that there were some lodges that could cope with our numbers. And, you know, moving 100 people around the countryside is a logistical nightmare. I mean, you can imagine beyond the fact that the contestants, there's 15 teams, which means there's 15 cars just on the contestants.
Yeah.
Now we're talking crew, and that's everything from 8-ton trucks right the way to a Pantechnicon, which is transporting the pantry, because, you know, the more remote we get, then we can't transporting all the food with us as well, and there's no resupply, you know, so if you don't have lemons, you don't have lemons, you know. So those sort of logistics, the food department is always like, have we got this, tick, 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 tick. And I mean, they have like a booklet of this is what we need for this challenge and the next challenge and things.
Did you ever fear that an animal would get hold of the food or something? That you
No, listen, we've had lots of experiences of monkeys pulling into the pantry and helping themselves and things, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The biggest fear on the road is, you know, collectively we do about 500,000 kilometers between all the vehicles on the road. We leave quite a big carbon footprint, and this year we started planting vetplankies. They're called elephant food. I forget the name now, but elephants love them. It's one of the best carbon plants because of that big footprint. But the biggest fear is someone dying on the road. And it sounds so stupid, but we had one vehicle roll on one of the later legs with two guys in it. Yeah, and you know, you're working long hours and everyone's under the assumption that, oh, you've got to do these things. But in anything that you do in life, it's not worth someone's life. So, you know, when we did the first season, we had one very long 16-hour travel day. And I remember sitting at the hotel reception waiting for contestants to come in, for the crew to arrive, and it was pouring with rain, and there were dead dogs all on the road. It was one of those really horrific sort of situations, and you're just praying that nothing happens to anyone. And when we were shooting one of the later episodes, the AD came to me and he said, one of the vehicles was rolled, the medic's gone off, and then you've got that waiting period in between where you're like, oh, the guy's okay. And fortunately, Johnny was good, so alive and things like that. But that's the biggest fear on the road. It's not, you know, the rest of it becomes kind of a well-oiled machine. Yeah, sure. But people's lives, that's a, you know, a different scenario. Yeah.
Now, on the topic of you being inebriated, I want to talk about all of these brandy and cokes that were consumed. 7,200 brandy and
personally,
cokes.
I think that's an understatement. I think that might have been the first 3 or 4 weeks on the road. You know, there's 100 of us. If you work it out, that means everyone only had 70. I mean, that's not a lot of.
Yeah.
But then we're excluding all the wine that we had.
Yeah, this is just brandy and cokes.
That's just brandy and cokes. And the terrible thing about them is that combination of the sugar and the brandy, it keeps you awake and you can keep going.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
there were also, we didn't put the statistics in of how many nights we lasted until 4 or 5 in the morning, you know. And you know, that's the other side about the show. You can imagine you chuck 100 people together from all walks of life, and it's this big melting pot on the road, and then you see what happens. So you're removing them from all their creature comforts, their ability to talk to their partner and de-stress at the end of a day and things. So your fire becomes that sort of meeting place where guys and girls can sit down and they go, it's all done.
Right.
And we're all adults, so you know, you can have a bit of fun and games.
Yeah,
and there you go.
Just protect those ankles next time. Now, on the topic of fire, you burnt a lot of wood. Where is this statistic? 101 tons of wood.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of braaiing.
Well, you know, the thing is when you start off, you've got cooking fires. So there, you know, we burn a lot of wood just on that aspect. But then you're using them for practical lighting and things. And there's, you know, there's something really mad. You can go gas, but you've got that hiss and things which ain't so cool. And there's something so magical about that African TV. Man, you light a fire, people congregate. It's beautiful light. It looks good, you know. So yes, we use a lot of wood. And after all, it is a braai show, you know.
True.